Host 6 to 9 on Nashville Sports Radio. Bill, what's new in your world these days?
Oh, I guess watching the Big Ten rig it to where once they get started, it's time to shut down again. I guess that's got us occupied.
Well, that's this 21-day mandatory quarantine for anybody that tests positive, which is much more stringent than the SEC or any of the other leagues, and certainly more so than it was for professional sports. So, I mean, should we have been surprised, though, that the league that was out in front in terms of caution for the pandemic also put this kind of stipulation in to a season that might have already been blown up for Wisconsin?
I prefer the conspiracy that they knew what they were doing when they put in these measurements of time, and the end result will be more. Got to remember, they can't make these games up. These are cancellations. These aren't, we'll wait and find a spot somewhere. And I don't know if you've seen their tie-breaking rules that they've come up with. But, and you'll have to read, it's confusing. But you have to play, first of all, you have to play a minimum of 6 games to be eligible to be in the championship game, unless the league average number of games drops down, and then it has to be only 2 off the league average. So if teams got in an average in the Big Ten of 4 games before the championship game, you could play 2 games and still be mathematically eligible, and head-to-head will supersede winning percentage in the league. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It sounds contrived, but it also throws in the word here about legitimate and the idea of a legitimate season being played while you've got other leagues in the Big 12, SEC, ACC that are having legitimate full seasons-ish, here and there, a bump in the road. But, right, it doesn't seem like the way the Big Ten's got this thing constructed that they may end up being completely left out of the college football playoff, because as far as I'm concerned, if you only play 6 games, I don't know how you can compare that season against schools that play 10 or 11.
It's going to be really fun to watch the committee. I'm not a committee fan, meaning the concept of a committee. The computers were better, in my opinion. But it's going to be fun to see them work through this and what the cutoff point. Where's the number when it comes to, let's say, the SEC gets in, 9 games. I'm just making up numbers. And Big Ten ends up with 5 or 6. Is that just... Even if Ohio State looks terrific, what's the cutoff number? And it's probably somewhere in there.
Let's get a look in the SEC here. We were talking about the first-year coaches the first 5 weeks into the season, and probably Arkansas. You don't make you're not basing the decision of a coaching hire on the first 5 games, but that's what we've got to work on. Right now, Sam Pittman appears to be maybe the best hire of the lot. Drinkwitz has done well in the first 4 games at Mizzou. I don't think Ole Miss fans are ready to get off the Lane train. The stuff happening, though, in Starkville right now has got to be a little bit alarming. Not necessarily in the idea that they're losing games, but they're getting blown out and losing players. I mean, Kylan Hill opting out. He wasn't the only one.
An Ole Miss publication asked me to rank the coaches to date, the new ones, and I went Pittman 1A, Drinkwitz 1B, then I would go 3 Kiffin, 4 Leach. Leach, look, there's all kinds of sides to Mike Leach. And one side is the fun, we're scoring lots of points, quarterback stat sheet's crazy, we're just having a blast. The other side of him is he can be a rough dude now. And running people off does not surprise me. He's hinted at this a little bit. And he is a no-nonsense, I don't care, get out of here guy. He really is. And what's going on right now does not shock me at all. Probably see more of it.
Speaking to Bill King here on Halftime, Bill, keeping in the SEC here, and obviously we'll get your thoughts on Arkansas, Texas A&M here in just in a second. But I want to ask you about Jimbo Fisher. And you assume that just based off what we've seen with Jimbo Fisher, that he's one of the best coaches in college football, but he only has 1 national title under him. He had a good quarterback in Jameis Winston. But in your opinion, how good of a coach is Jimbo Fisher, in your opinion?
First and foremost, and everybody has their origination, he is a very good quarterback developer. That's his, if you break him down to skill set, first and foremost, that's what he's best at. He's a pretty good to decent play caller. Nothing special, pretty good there. He's a very good recruiter. He can go out, Florida State, Texas A&M, and get players, and he'll continue to do that. And I think he hires coaches for the most part, with an exception or two, that are good at what they're being hired to do. And if you look at the rest of their schedule, if you just go by Vegas, they'll be favored in every game they play rest of the way. They've got a road game at Auburn favored, road game at Tennessee favored, other games, etc. Now, that doesn't mean they win them all, but he's set up to have a pretty good year in year 3 if they play the way they're playing right now, which is good.
So when you look ahead to this weekend, obviously Arkansas versus Texas A&M, I mean, what are your thoughts about this game? Do you think Arkansas can be competitive or win in this ball game? And also, moving ahead into next week, whoever wins this game, do you think this solidifies them, at least for the next week or two, being the second best team in the SEC West?
It's amazing we're having this conversation. I would not have admitted to having this conversation, but it's legit. Arkansas has earned it for the moment. Now, some of that would be LSU's back to the pack, Auburn's back to the pack too, a bit, but that's not Arkansas's problem. Arkansas is a very solid, fundamentally sound, steady football team that I enjoy. Again, guys, I thought Arkansas would look about like Bama. I thought it'd be just an absolute disaster year 1 and take a while to build up. And it still will take some time. But they are a solidified, motivated, energetic ball club that's fun to follow. Yes, I think this game can be competitive. I don't know if I would pick them to win it, but this game is probably closer than I would have given credit for just, a month ago.
Hey, with the Aggies are favored by 12.5, I'd take Arkansas with the points there easy, and this is just Wednesday. The last thing I want to touch on here, and I always hear from coaches and athletes and people that really know, you have to be good to be lucky on a consistent basis. So does that mean Auburn is the best team in the SEC because they certainly seem like they're the luckiest right now?
Well, Birmingham is supposed to be set up for Tuscaloosa, right? Which historically it probably is. Everybody's got their political angle inside the league, right? And in the Big 12, for example, it's Texas. Texas runs that league. But Auburn's getting all the Alabama breaks, right? Alabama's so good that luck is the residue of design. That's a famous saying, right? And Auburn probably should have at least 2 losses, maybe 3. The Arkansas game, not reviewing the kick properly, not stopping and reviewing the kick in the Ole Miss game. And right before half in the Kentucky game was a horrible call on the goal line. I don't know if that means that Kentucky wins the game because you still have a half to play after that. But they have been incredibly fortunate. They're not very good. On the defensive side of the ball, they lost so much personnel. It's been tough. Offensively, they're inconsistent at quarterback. They've got one stud receiver who is a stud, and the Bigsby kid, the freshman out of Georgia, Tank Bigsby, is really coming on at running back. He'll be a star. And that's about it right now, guys. Average on the offensive line. So, yeah, I think I think they've been incredibly fortunate.
Sooner or later, luck does run out. And I want to go the last thing here about this the complaints that Lane Kiffin had from this non-review over the weekend, and Arkansas fans have reason to complain. It's not just these 2 games. It's something that we've seen over the last couple of years. There's just not you're looking for better communication, transparency, and for being the best college football league in America right now, there just isn't much of that. And that's going to have to change in the near future, I think. Yeah.
Lane insinuated what that telephone call was about, the one he got from the SEC, and it was, we blew it. We should have stopped and looked at this thing, and they didn't. And I'm not sure why you would, in the moment, he said the ref over there by him, he asked him, and he said, look, that they checked it, and they said there's nothing there. I guess at that moment, maybe you waste a timeout. He took their word for it, but That's what I would have done right there. That's a huge moment in the ballgame. That's perhaps a touchdown, and certainly a difference maker in the ballgame. And of course, look, Lane's gonna pop off about it, and that's fine. I thought it was pretty funny as far as entertaining us all and everything else. I had people on my show looking for mailing addresses. They literally were sending him 100 pennies in the mail. I don't know how many of my guys did it, but they did. So we've all had fun with it. But yes, those are some officiating snafus that should not be happening. If it's common sense to the layperson, there's no excuse.
Lane Kiffin's got $25,000 in his navel. He'll be just fine. Hey, you live in Nashville. Mookie Betts is a Nashville native. He's a World Series champion again. Is he a celebrated athlete in Nashville?
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Mookie Betts. He's from Nashville. He's a World Series champion again. Is he a celebrated athlete in the Music City?
He played baseball at John Overton High School, which is in the heart of the city, and also played basketball. He's a really good little point guard and is a perfect bowler. From birth, he was bowling. Natural athlete, signed with Tennessee out of high school, did not get there, got drafted, wasn't a high pick, but you could just tell. Bat, glove, running, probably the best base runner we've seen in a while in baseball. Right. I'll tell you who else was here. He's not from here, but was here for 3 years, is Walker Buehler. He's from Lexington, Kentucky, Henry Clay High School, played at Vanderbilt, and probably the best young pitcher in baseball right now, Walker Buehler. And he was a pleasure to watch back then. You probably remember him playing at Vanderbilt in all those games.
Bill, my first year
he
doing Arkansas.
He threw about 90.
The thing that was crazy about that team.
He weighed about 160, threw about 90. Now he's throwing 100.
And he was the Sunday starter. He wasn't even Friday or Saturday that season. That was the crazy thing.
Amazing. And again, you could, and I don't watch it like you guys. By the way, I'm a Dodger fan, and I didn't watch half the game. But I'm hearing he's probably the best, 25, 26-year-old young pitcher, maybe in baseball at the moment.
I think he is. I think you're right. Bill, always appreciate your time, man.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bill.
Enjoy the games this weekend. One and only Bill King, the king of college football talk. 6 to 9 Nashville Sports Radio. Great place to watch football, whether it's college, NFL, whatever. Buffalo Wild Wings. SmackDown loves those wings.
I love them, and it's almost Boneless Thursday tomorrow night for the sauced nugs / boneless chicken wing deal tomorrow night. You can buy one, get one free boneless wings tomorrow night. But make sure you head over there. You can check out their new cauliflower wings paired with their new Zing Zang sauce. One of my favorites, the smoked brisket burgers, fantastic. They've got the new daily trivia games with Buffalo Wild Wings. They got all kinds of stuff for you and your family to take advantage of, and also just great chicken wing sauces like the Carolina Reaper. Phil, you love Carolina Reaper, don't you?
It loved me more than I loved it.
That's what I thought. Make sure you head over to Buffalo Wild Wings today. You can find locations in Little Rock, Fort Sherwood, Jonesboro, and in Conway. And that's only at Buffalo Wild Wings.